All right, it's time for QB1 with Crissy, Froyd, and Crissy. The quarterback du jour, Kenny Pickett, a rookie for the Steelers. How surprising was it to see him drafted over Malik Willis?
Yeah, well, I think that the team that drafted a quarterback first, which ended up being the Pittsburgh Steelers, had to pick between the floor and the ceiling. And I think some people sort of think that the team was going to go for the ceiling. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be the Steelers, though. And so I think that the Steelers thought that they had a safe bet in Kenny Pickett. This is a quarterback who is above average in pretty much every aspect of the position, who some have questioned how high his ceiling actually is, but he's shown some Joe Burrow-like flashes in his time in college and had a meteoric rise that was very similar. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can hit that, become a little bit more than people expect. But I do think that he's going to be a competent starter at some point.
And I know you spent some time with Tony Rasiobi, who is his longtime quarterbacks trainer, knows him better than anybody else. What did he tell you about where he is right now in his development?
Yeah, just that Kenny, he calls him Johnny Consistent. I think that's the perfect term for him, just because Kenny obviously put up some really good numbers at Pittsburgh, had some really big defining moments that made him QB1 for most people in college football for the majority of the season. I'd say the back half of the season at least. And so this is a guy who's very even keeled, that doesn't really do anything to hurt himself. I would say throughout the offseason process that kind of the narrative whenever I was talking to Kenny's quarterback trainer and just watching Kenny was that he wasn't doing anything to significantly raise or lower his draft stock. So you're getting a quarterback that, according to his trainer, he's expected to see this type of rise from him the entire time that he's known him. He's worked with him since he was a kid, really. And so I think that this is something that they've been anticipating, and that this is a quarterback who's kind of developed on schedule in a way that he's not flashing a ton right now, but he's really, the floor is high. And I think that that's something that's just kind of undervalued in quarterbacks.
So, Crissy, when you look at his skill set overall, I mean, what can he truly offer a team like Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think that he's going to fit in well. This is a quarterback that has an underrated sense of mobility, in my opinion. He kind of made up the fake slide for himself, which is, I think, on top of the numbers that he posted and kind of rising like Joe Burrow, he might be known for more than anything else. So this is a quarterback who's going to be very steady, that I think is going to develop well. And I think that if nothing else, he's going to give the Steelers a reliable option as a game manager, although I do think that that's a label that could come off of him in the future, just kind of with what he brings and what he did as a passer at Pittsburgh, just in addition to being able to do things with his legs in a way that people haven't really talked about a ton.
So his ceiling is a little bit higher than some might anticipate. It sounds like, is what you're saying. I mean, what does his long-term future look like with the Steelers?
Yeah, I think that his ceiling being higher than a lot of people have thought is going to come down to those flashes of Joe Burrow that we saw. I mean, this quarterback didn't draw comparisons to him for no reason. And so I think that just because he didn't flash throughout the offseason the way that someone like Malik Willis did, that we kind of started to forget that a little bit. But I think that the Steelers, or any team that he ends up with, whether if he ends up moving on at some point in his career, it's obviously still very early to tell, is going to get someone who's going to be the same quarterback day in and day out, that's only going to continue to get better, that can make plays both through the air and on the ground.
So the Steelers with a potentially really savvy pick in Kenny Pickett. Crissy, Froyd, QB1, thanks as always.